So, since Magnolia got hit on the restriction list, people have been trying to find out a way to make this deck still somewhat playable. There are a lot of people that definitely picked up on Stokio just because it was a winning deck and they don't really play Stokio otherwise. So, for when Inlet Pulse got restricted with uh, the Grade 4 Magnolia, we had to figure out, well, what do we do with this deck now? So my I like this a lot better than the Grade 4 version. I don't think that the Grade 4 is bad. I just don't think it's got any good tools to itself right now. So it's getting put on the back burner. Instead, this is a Grade 3 Magnolia profile. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, Grade 4 Magnolia kind of saved this deck and made it a lot better, and I got choice restricted. But somehow this list is just insanely good. At least I found very good success with it. So I'll start it off very simple. Your generic starter that lets you draw if you go second. Uh, your Rancor and your Black Tears Husks. You guys know I'm a big Zorga fan, so you should already know what these do by now. If you don't, draw two, discard one if it's discard two. Unless you discard an order, then you discard one. Grab an order back from your drop zone. So pretty much grabbing back what you discard for this. The big one we have to talk about is Magnolia here. Now Magnolia only has one skill. And that skill is on swing. You can counterblast one, and then give one of your rear guards in the back row 5,000 power, and it can attack from the back row this turn. But if you Persona Ride, you can pick 3 units. So, the issue is getting to those Persona Rides, which is why this deck's always been kind of eh. But I think with the support it's gotten in the last bit of time, this deck is actually a lot better than it used to be, and I think this is the way to play it until we get the extra cards that we're going to get in set 6, and then the insanely good cards that we get in set 7. So that's the ride line right there. We'll throw that off to the side, and we'll start talking about our grade 3s. 3 more copies of Magnolia. Again, you kind of need the Persona Ride in this deck, so we have to run this. Not much to say about it, just we gotta see it so we can actually play our deck. And the last grade 3, because it's not choice restricted, is the Inlet Pulse. Inlet Pulse isn't choice restricted with the grade 3 Magnolia, so we will just play it in here, and it works really good. Its first skill doesn't do anything because we don't have a Flagberg Vanguard, but at the end of a battle, if you've had 4 more battles this turn, you can tuck it into Soul and draw a card. Drawing cards is always good. It's what made grade 4 Magnolia broken. Yeah, this is just a big key. Besides the drawing one, I should say the best thing about this is its 13k base, which a lot of people are like, I mean, sure, yeah. But one of the issues I've had from playing Magnolia for, oh gosh, is it 5 sets now? 5 sets? Uh, is when you Persona Ride, right? You have grade 4 Magnolia, right? Uh, if your rear guards are a bunch of 10Ks in the front row, your opponent hits 1 defensive and your turn's like practically over. You can at least swing over defensives now or be even with them because you have 13K bases, which is the big takeaway from this card. Also the drawing, drawing a card, getting an extra resource in terms of soul. But yeah, that's the reason we're going with that. The grade 2, we have a heavy grade 2 line. Actually, yeah, we'll go with the grade 2s. So 4 copies of Donmaru. So on place, you Soul Blast one. One of your back row guys gets 5k and can attack from the back row. And then if this is picked by your Vanguard's ability, it gets an extra 5. This is if you don't hit the Persona Ride, we're using this. We're trying we're trying to be as aggressive as we can with this deck. We don't really want to mess around and be like, well, maybe we'll damage tonight. No, no, no. This deck still isn't super great, so we're trying to push them to as much damage as we can and as quick as we can. So using the logic that I gave you with Inlet Pulse, obviously, for the 13k base, we have Bandero. Oh, look at him. I love him so much. So he gets 5 if you're on a Magnolia Vanguard, which is really good. And then when he is called, you can Soul Blast 1 to call back another Pantera from Drop Zone. This card is insanely good. I know, when you see the rest of my grade twos, you'll be like, hey, maybe we cut a couple of these, put in the, some of those other cards, 'cause I feel like they're more worthwhile. I value this card insanely well. I mean, obviously I have the SP, so of course I do. But I value this card insanely well. I think this is really good. You can do a big guard out turn, and then the next turn, you can call this and just bring back your entire field pretty much if you have enough of these in drop. It's a very insane card, and it's like one of the key players in the deck. Going on, these are kind of in order of like importance, I should say. So Donmaru is the most important, then Pantero. The next one after that is actually Clipping Dragon of Soul Revolution. So this gives you Soul and it countercharges if you've done 4 or more attacks. So that's really good in this deck. We do use Counterblast like a decent bit. Um, I don't really know what else to say there about that. Uh, I think you could play more if you wanted to. I'm not super inclined to. I feel like 2 is just the right number, especially because Inlet is giving us draws, and another card is also like thinning our deck to like find cards like these. So I think it's fine at 2. Uh, we have 2 of this promo. I don't even know your name, little guy. Npix. Little Npix. So Npix, if he's in your back row, he gets plus 10, which 18k beater, super good. And then if you have 3 or less rear guards, he can't be targeted, or the thing in his column can't be targeted. So this really works good with Inlet Pulse or the Clipping Dragon because, well, hey, I put those into Soul. I have a back row with these guys. You can't pick them for the Prison players or the uh, what's the word? Gravidia players, or Eugene even, which are some of its worst matchups. This deck does not like crowd control. Um, but yeah, he's big 18k beater. He's free. That's what we like about him. I'd play more, but I have 2 random tech slots that I really like, and I just can't convince myself to get rid of them yet. So one of them is N-Bar. Now N-Bar, if you don't know, he gets 5k on place on rear guard and 5k shield on place in the guard circle. And at the end of the battle that he swung, if you have specifically the grade 3 Magnolia, you can bounce him back to your hand. So that's the idea is you're gonna fish him out with some of your spell cards to bring him back from your drop, and then he's just a loopable 10k shield. Um, I don't. You could again play more copies of NPix. I've just always needed that extra shield because Magnolia doesn't have the intercept, give your field intercept like the grade 4 does. So I do value extra shield in this deck when I can get it. The last card is Ganasala. Ganasala, for a counterblast to 1, if he's in your back row, gives something else his power. Um, you could say you technically want 2, so you can go from one Ganasala to the other, for the big power buffs. But you burn through a lot of counterblast in this deck as is, so I think 1 is fine. You could even cut this if you wanted to. I know that sounds crazy, but like counterblast is so tight, I don't think you'd actually miss having this until we get set 7. But I think as a one of that I can potentially get out of my grave later, it's perfectly fine. I think it's perfectly fine. The grade 1s we only have 1, and that's perfect guards. If I if you wanted to, and this is it's probably a dumb suggestion, but you could play like literally just more aggressive units and just not care about perfect guards because you just want your opponent dead with this deck. I play the perfect guards. I'm a coward. I don't know how else to put that. So that's our only grade 1. Now our order lineup, this is going to be a trend you might see in my profiles a lot if I play the Rancor Husk package, because I only play 5 orders if I play it and it's not Zorga, which is 1 copy of Spiritual Body Condensation and 4 of Wild Intelligence. So the reason I like 5 personally is I always feel like I see 1 order for that ability if I play 5, so I never feel the need to play more copies. Mind you, when the next set comes out, we get the order PG. There's 6. There you go. You can add numbers to your order count if you want. This is just personally what works for me. This is Monster Reborn for 1 unit. There's not too much to say about this. This is the key card. I love this card so much. So you can activate it for a counterblast of 1. You mill your top 3 and you call 1. But if you're on Magnolia, you call 2. So this is really good. You use a decent bit of soul as is. You use a decent bit of you know, cards that put themselves into soul, so you can always bring things like Inlet Pulse back. Or, right, best case scenario, you just mill 3 and it's like, oh look, I hit something like this. Well, I can call both these 2 back and start plussing with them. Uh, that's the thought process of playing this 4. This is just a really good card overall. This is kind of the reason I prefer another reason I prefer playing the Grade 3 Magnolia version right now over the Grade 4. But I am going to try to work out a list for that Grade 4 when, you know, I figure out what I exactly want in there. Our trigger count, over trigger. Over trigger. You don't need the starter deck one. I mean, you could play it if you want. I just like the art on this so much that I'm willing to play it in every deck, and it just works. So, yeah, 1 over trigger. There you go. We play 4 copies of her and 3 more crits. She's important because she can go to soul, and you do use a decent bit of soul. Otherwise, again, it's just about that aggression. We want the opponent deader quicker, if those are words. I don't want to have a grind game with my opponent because I don't think I'm going to make it through it. So I just want them dead really quick. But to ensure we see pieces, we do play 4 draw triggers. Draw triggers are super important in this deck. You can't really play without them. This deck desperately needs draw cards because your opponent can just get rid of your board, and then you're just like, well, I guess I'm screwed. And lastly is 4 heal triggers. Heals are always good. We don't play the effect ones because I still don't personally care about them. Any changes that you think you can make to this deck, I say go for it. Let me know down in the comments if there's specific cards you prefer in your Magnolia list versus mine. I'd love to test them out. This is just what I personally came to as the best version of this deck. This is just really good. I don't know what else to say there, So thank you guys for watching. I will catch you in the next time. Peace.